welcome back to Silent Thoughts. My name is Abby and I'm your host. So the whole point of this podcast is to create a safe environment that we can talk about controversial topics. I know last week we talked about the government shutdown and how this has affected many individuals. So this week I wanted to talk about something a little more controversial that holds close to my heart. And for this week's podcast, I wanted to have a topic on Planned Parenthood. I believe that this is such a controversial topic that we should cover, especially since we are in October. For those who are not familiar, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And through that, I wanted to bring up Planned Parenthood. So through this podcast, I think it is very important to talk about what is Planned Parenthood, all the services that are provided, some controversial ideas based on Planned Parenthood, and I also will be trying to bring on some recordings from testimonies, and so I also will be bringing on some testimonies and some recordings from some of the research that I have put into about Planned Parenthood. All right, so let's get started. So what is Planned Parenthood? So Planned Parenthood was developed in the 1960s with one of the main goals of creating opportunities for all people to have proper access to all care and resources while having informed decisions about their bodies, their lives, and their futures. So this has been identified as a trusted healthcare provider, educator, and passionate advocate here in the U.S. that can be found across the world. Planned Parenthood plays a key role to public health. This organization has many resources that are offered in having the ability to provide services at affordable prices and compassionate care. Planned Parenthood health centers provide a wide range of services, namely preventative care, including birth control, testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections, and screening for cervical and other cancers.
These are the doors to Planned Parenthood. They're just doors, really. But what makes these doors different is the fundamental misunderstanding about what goes on behind them. But here's the thing, what we do isn't a secret. It's quality health care for women, men, and young people. STI testing, well-woman exams, birth control, pregnancy tests, family planning, sexual assault consultations, and safe, legal abortion. All from a team of people who happen to be acutely dedicated and highly equipped to serve you. There is no mystery here. What's behind these doors is a safe haven for anyone who needs it. There is no judgment, no agenda, just exceptional healthcare and our stories. From the clinicians to physicians, medical directors and office managers, from the medical assistants to front office specialists to you, the people we serve. We are all Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood takes care of all of us.
So through the availability of being able to find Planned Parenthood across the world, there are many resources that allows women especially to have access to reproductive health care. So some of these services can include contraceptive, STD testing, cancer screenings, and family planning. As a woman, there are many reproductive concerns that we are faced with. This can include something simple as a period cramp, endometriosis, HPV, having to get mammograms, ultrasounds, and then even including our biannual pap smears. Having a location that can offer reduced prices for reproductive health is very important. You also have access to birth control, which is a big factor since some women need it for period pain, acne. With acne, I know personally myself, I was on Accutane, and Accutane, it's a medication that if you're taking it, pregnant women cannot come in contact. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff that goes behind it. That can be another conversation. However, I needed to have 2 forms of birth control in order to be prescribed Accutane. So for myself, I had condoms, and then I also had an implanted birth control. And then also, birth control can help with unplanned pregnancies. Planned Parenthood can offer a variety of birth control options such as condoms, the pill, implants, or even some permanent sterilization. Staff at Planned Parenthood can also offer sexual health questions and concerns, and can also educate individuals on STIs and different STDs.
Our doors will stay open. Our services that we offer might look a little different. We'll have to pivot, but our patients are still going to need the other services that we provide even more than ever. We are launching gender affirming care this year, so we're still going to be here for our patients.
As many are familiar, there are many services that Planned Parenthood offers. One of these services are abortions. However, Planned Parenthood does offer a safe and legal option for individuals seeking an abortion service. So there are 2 types of abortions. There's an in-clinic abortion and then a pill version. The in-clinic abortion procedure involves a process of going to see a healthcare counselor, an exam, and then the abortion. The abortion itself takes no longer than 5 to 10 minutes, and you receive medication for the pain. As stated on the Planned Parenthood website, before your abortion, you will meet with a nurse, a doctor, or a healthcare counselor to talk about whether or not this abortion is the right decision for you. And then your abortion options are given to you. Once you decide that you want the abortion, you'll get an exam, you'll have some lab tests drawn, and then you may even have an ultrasound to determine how far along you are into your pregnancy. Once it has been determined that you will want to proceed with an abortion, the way that an abortion procedure works is that the doctor or nurse will first examine your uterus, place a speculum to see into your vagina, give a numbing shot near your cervix, open your cervix a little bit if needed, insert a thin tube through your cervix into your uterus, and then use a small handheld device that removes the pregnancy tissue out of your uterus. Possibly there is a small surgical tool called a curette that can be used to insert into your uterus to remove any tissue that has been left behind. Once your abortion is over, you'll be sat in the waiting room for a couple minutes to recover. Along with that, you will also be receiving antibiotics to help prevent any infection. The next option for an abortion is the abortion pill. Having this form comes in several steps and usually is 2 different medications. The first one being mifepristone and misoprostol. You take the first medication of mifepristone, and this stops the pregnancy from growing. Most people don't feel anything at this time. The second medicine you take is misoprostol, and this one you can either take right away or up to 48 hours after you take the first pill. From there, this medication causes cramping and bleeding, causing your uterus to contract. Pregnancy tissue will come out of your vagina, very similar to an early miscarriage. With this one, it is recommended to take ibuprofen about 30 minutes before you take the second medication to help with cramps. Don't take aspirin because it can help you bleed more. This form of an abortion is recommended for women who are less than 8 weeks along, since the embryo at this time is only 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch long. After you have assumed that you've passed the embryo, it is recommended to go back to the clinic to determine if you have had a successful abortion.
City asking people their thoughts on abortion.
Do you know who you're interviewing?
Sorry, no. Please do.
I'm Alexander Sanger. I'm the former president of Planned Parenthood of New York. My grandmother is Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood. You cannot make abortion go away by criminalizing it. Mm-hmm. All you do is you make it unsafe. You put women at risk, poor women, women of color, women who don't have the advantages of middle class, wealthy women to travel somewhere and get an abortion. Mm-hmm. It's discriminatory, it's unfair, it's unsafe, and to me it's just a total outrage against women.
It's a woman's choice.
Yes.
After looking at the 2 types of abortions that can happen, both are seen to be very controversial. with something simple as how can a life be taken away with a procedure or even just a pill. So one conversation we've been having most recently is the Roe versus Wade. This is where the Supreme Court stated that an abortion cannot legally occur after 6 weeks of gestation. Also, there are certain states that you can still have this procedure done, whereas in other states are refusing to allow this procedure to occur. One of these states is the state of Texas. There are many clinics who are refusing to do abortions just for the fact that they are fearful that they could get in legal trouble. Another state that you can drive to that is willing to receive treatment and give you treatment is New Mexico. There are also been some situations that some states will not give you the abortion if you've come from another state. So rumor, Plan B is a type of abortion. That is false. Plan B is a form of an emergency contraceptive which can be taken no later after 48 hours of having sex. The Plan B is a whole nother conversation that we can have another day. But some little topic on Plan B is that the pill is very expensive. And if you're under the age of 16, you cannot purchase this pill without a guardian. So for those who know, I work at a mental health treatment center here in San Antonio, and I deal with adolescents. And I recently had a patient who was 13 years old who became pregnant. Just imagine this, a child at that age loses so many opportunities because they cannot even go to a Walgreens and buy a Plan B.
Offered abortions at its clinic since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade in June of 2022.
But 15 months later, the organization is now offering the procedures again. Planned Parenthood brought them back at its clinics in Madison and Milwaukee. Officials with the organization did not say how many of the procedures they performed today, but they said appointments filled up at the Milwaukee clinic within 24 hours of announcing that services would resume. Planned Parenthood made the decision after a Dane County judge said she believes Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ban only applies to feticide, not abortion.
New at 10, Caroline Dade has you covered on how pro-choice and pro-life advocates are feeling today.
On the steps of the Capitol Monday evening, you could find a handful of people from the Madison Abortion and Reproductive Rights Coalition for Healthcare, or MARCH. They were all celebrating the fact abortions are available in Wisconsin again.
Abortion is healthcare. Healthcare is a right.
It really is an incredible feeling, I think, for all of us.
Pro-choice activist Caitlin Benedetto says she thinks Planned Parenthood's decision is about more than just abortions.
This is about bodily autonomy, access to the full range of healthcare that people need to keep themselves safe, keep themselves secure. We really see this as like an incredibly important moment to celebrate.
While groups like March are celebrating Planned Parenthood's decision, some pro-life advocates say they don't think the Dane County judge's ruling from July settles the legality of abortion in Wisconsin.
There has been no clear, definitive order from a court saying that this pre-Roe law is unenforceable. The legislature has not taken any action to revoke that statute.
Julaine Appling is the president of the pro-life organization Wisconsin Family Action. She says she doesn't see Monday as a day for celebration.
It's a sad day for Wisconsin. I was at a rally this morning and someone used the term Black Monday, and I agree with that.
As Planned Parenthood offers abortions again, Appling says she's going to keep an eye on how the challenge to the state's 1849 law plays out in court. And Benedetto says she's going to keep pushing for greater access to the procedure.
I do believe that there needs to be more education, and some education that is offered by Planned Parenthood includes through many conversations that we can have about abortions and contraceptives. I believe it's important to discuss the education and the outreach programs that Planned Parenthood has developed in efforts of providing comprehensive sexual education and information on sexual and reproductive health. I believe it's important to express how these programs can help reduce unintended pregnancies and promote responsible sexual behavior. These programs can teach men and women to practice safe sex and what occurs in their bodies. Education starts early. Teenagers and young adults are constantly still learning about their bodies, and it is important to bring this to light and give them education. It has been found that uneducated or overprotected children are often the individuals who tend to have unplanned pregnancies or contract some type of STI or STD. The reason behind this is they're unaware. An example of this is during middle school, when sex education is introduced. Personally, in my middle school, we were taught abstinence, and abstinence is great. However, during a time when I was still very curious about my body, I was left clueless. Upon going to high school, I was only taught about STDs and STIs in different ways that I could contract. Yeah, this is really important, and I'm glad that the education system finds it important to share this information with us. However, that still leaves you clueless on what is safe sex and how to practice safe sex. Especially coming from myself, such a sheltered household, I had to learn personally myself what is safe sex, or until I got older and I could have a conversation openly with my parents. But most people don't have these conversations with their parents. It's actually quite interesting because Planned Parenthood does offer sex education classes that are really interesting. They have digital games, quizzes, videos, and many more. They are based on science and can help promote healthy decision making. I think if many education systems brought this and used this, I think we would have a higher chance of less unplanned pregnancies.
Update tonight on Spokane Public Schools' search for a new sex ed curriculum. A comprehensive but divisive program created by Planned Parenthood will now not be implemented.
According to 4 News Now, Planned Parenthood's curriculum used to be used. However, parents were not happy with what they were doing. So, in turn, they ended up doing this new program.
Was made in what it means for the curriculum moving forward. Caroline?
Nadine, Planned Parenthood's Get Real program had been approved 2 times by SPS's Human Growth and Development Citizen Advisory Committee, but it had received both positive and negative feedback from this community, from the parents whose kids will be in these classes, and so for that reason it was pulled from the table. Instead, the district will build its new curriculum by pulling from a number of different sources. That's actually how they designed the current Human Growth and Development curriculum that's being taught right now. Pulling different lessons from different sources allows them to handpick a curriculum that fits the district's rubrics for sex ed. This is a curriculum for middle school growth and development taught to students in grades 6 through 9. Pulling from different sources will also allow them to adapt the program. It gives it a little bit more flexibility for changing state standards as they continue to develop throughout the years. We'll keep you updated as we learn more about this process.
After going over what is Planned Parenthood, the access to reproductive health care, the abortion services that Planned Parenthood offers, and some education and outreach programs that is offered through Planned Parenthood. There's one thing that I feel needs to be discussed shortly is being pro-choice or pro-life. And me personally, because I am a woman from a Catholic household, it is very difficult to decide where I stand, because as a person, I personally am pro-choice. However, as a Catholic, I have to be pro-life. So I'm put in a position of, where do I stand? As a woman, I believe that certain things should occur, but as a woman of the church, it says in the Bible, I have to follow that you don't kill. And is there anybody that feels this type of way along with me, or am I the only one?
For the first time, we are hearing from the Archdiocese of Louisville on the decision by Catholic bishops that had the church at one point heading toward refusing the president communion, all based on his views of abortion. Well, yesterday, the bishops settled that possible conflict nationally, approving new rules on communion for public officials. Here at home, Karen Shadle from the Office of Worship for the Archdiocese of Louisville has been watching developments closely. She says the idea of the Eucharist helps relate the idea of Jesus Christ in every minute of the day, not just on Sundays.
The document needed some amendments and some editing, and so we don't actually have the text of it yet, so I can't comment on it specifically, but I can tell you that it was not about any one person or any one issue, but it's about it's for the document is intended for every Catholic in the United States. And
the Archdiocese of Louisville will emphasize the importance of the Eucharist in the next few years, according to Shadle.
Overall, I found this topic to be very interesting. I could have a conversation about Planned Parenthood, pro-life, pro-choice very often. It is a conversation I think about pretty often. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and close off for today. Thank you guys for joining me on this week's topic. I hope y'all enjoyed. And if y'all want to see more, follow along. I will be posting on my social media about what we're going to talk about next week. Again, this is Silent Thoughts, a platform created to talk about controversial topics in a safe environment. Again, my name is Abby, your host, and I'll see you next week.